Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to M4J Transport here on Cities in Motion 2. Today we are following a tram. Last time out we followed in City West, today we're following a tram. This is route, I can't read it, I think it's 310? I think it's 310, it might be more than that. More or less, someone will tell me. The preview window that I'm watching this in is too small for me to be able to read. It's what always makes me paranoid about these episodes actually, is because I look at that and it's just one big blur. That text box up in the top right corner that shows the line and everything like that, it's all just one big white line as far as I can see. So I always get worried that the quality when I actually render it isn't going to be that good. But I mean it very clearly tells me right underneath the preview window that the preview I'm watching is 320 by 180, whereas the video you're watching is 1280 by 720. So, yeah, I don't know why I get worried about it, but I do. Anyway, what was I talking about? Trams, yes. So last time out we followed the trolleys, this time we're following the trams. So this line currently is the only line that connects City West with the centre of the city. The trolley line does not do that, it just circumnavigates City West and connects up to the Rathaus, where you would then hop onto the tram. It also connects up with that other connection that we have with the water bus, which does need a name actually, that hub. So we need to get some patrons on Patreon, so we can start naming some hubs. But yeah, trams. I want to talk about trams a little bit, because on this game in particular, I use trams a lot, and I even had a little thing a few episodes ago now where I talked about trams aren't always the answer, and I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with trams. This might come as a surprise. If you go back and watch my original series on Cities in Motion, this will come as a huge shock. I don't actually like trams that much. Growing up, whenever we went to sort of bookshops, bookstores, or libraries, things like that, my family always assumed that I just loved everything on rails. So they would get me books about steam locomotives, diesel locomotives, what were at the time modern trains, which are now, believe it or not, 20 years old, give or take, and some are even older than that. I'm old, I'm very old, I'm 26 next year, crikey. I know there's people who are now sitting there in their 40s thinking, you're old. But yeah, I feel old. Like, it's not that long ago that to me that I was 15 and still at school, and I used to always get told, when you leave school you'll regret, you know, wanting to grow up, and I never believed it, and now I'm starting to look back and think it really was fun just walking out of school, going to the fields and playing football for 5 hours. I can't really do that anymore, there's no justification for it. Anyway, bookstores. So we used to go to bookstores and I'd get bought books on all kinds of trains, and every once in a while someone would hold up a book about trams and say, hey look, trams, they're trains. And I would go, no they're not. They're not trains at all, they're completely different. Granted, there are certain locomotives and certain trains, in fact, that can run on tram lines. But if you actually look at blueprints of, let's say, an electrical multiple unit, an articulated tram, you will see just how different they are. I've already said it, articulation. So an electrical multiple unit can navigate, in certain cases, quite sharp curves. However, trams can negotiate pretty much 90-degree turns on a dime. That's how good they are at turning. And the reason being is the articulation of the tram itself, and the shortness of the vehicles means that the vehicle swings round the corner in such a way that it would be around the side of the track, whereas if a train tried to do that, it would derail almost immediately. There's also a certain degree of flexibility in the bogie connection that trains don't have that trams do. The main difference is the wheels. If you actually, I mean, this sounds bad, there was a tram crash that happened in Croydon not that long ago. 7 people died, it was a horrible incident. But if you go and look at photos that were taken after the accident, you can kind of see how it happened. There were several factors that caused the accident. The driver fell asleep at the controls and entered a bend. I think it was 3 times the speed that he was meant to be travelling at, and that's what caused the tram to tip over. But what I saw in the photos was if you actually look at the wheels, all train wheels operate with I mean, I call it a flat spot, but it's not. It's actually, it curves upwards towards the outer edges of the vehicle. And again, this is to do with cornering. So you've got this flat spot, which points slightly upwards, and then you have a flange, and the flange is really what holds the train on the track, or holds the tram on the track. Now on a heavy rail vehicle, the flange is, you know, 2-3 inches below the rail, and that means that as the train navigates the curve, the flange is what causes the wheel screech that you hear, particularly when the train's travelling at low speeds around junctions. You hear this horrible, like, ee noise. That's the flange connecting with the inner side of the rail. And the shape of the wheel is also designed to help. The train kind of leans into the corner a bit more because of the shape of the wheel. So what happened, or what's happened on trams, is the flange is about a third of the size that it is on a rail vehicle, which in the case of the Croydon crash would not have held the tram on the track going at the speed that it was railing. Perhaps if it had train wheels, it would have been able to stay on the rails. I personally don't know. I'm not going to judge the crash because it was a very serious incident that happened, and in fact it's changed the landscape a lot in terms of tram operation, because in the past there's been no sort of AWS type system on tramways because it's operated on line of sight. So particularly on street running sections, if a pedestrian walks out in front of the tram, or if a car pulls out in front of a tram, the driver is able to quickly stop because the line speed was already low enough that, you know, it could stop within a very short space of time and a very short distance. I think it was Sandylands, I think was the name of the location where the tram crash took place. That was not a street running section, so the tram was operating at a much higher speed, and again that's what attributed to the crash. But the wheel design of a tram is very different to the wheel design of a train, and the reason that the flange is so much smaller is because on street running sections it means they don't have to dig huge trenches in the road. I think it's mainly been changed in recent years because of cycling. You must have seen clips on YouTube of cyclists. In fact, Top Gear, good. They had the race in Moscow. Was it? Might have been St. Petersburg actually. It was the race in Russia, and Richard Hammond came off his bike because the front wheel of his bike went into a groove on a tram line. The reason why flanges are so much smaller on trams is the articulation of the bogie means that they don't need big flanges anyway, but also because street running sections, cyclists, is a safety hazard. And that to me, like when I was a kid, I understand it a bit more now because I'm older and I've read about it, but when I was a kid, trams never felt like trains to me. Trams felt like buses that just happened to run on rails, and I have next to no interest in buses in real life. On the game I'll use them because they're very good at getting people from A to B without building huge amounts of infrastructure, but in real life I couldn't care less about buses. You know, trams I will sort of compromise on because they do run on rails, but really for me it's rail and occasionally aircraft, because I did study aerospace. I mean, I did mechanical engineering, but with a leaning towards aerospace engineering. It's more exciting than it sounds, I promise. We got to use very powerful wind tunnels. That's kind of... I keep going to say love-hate relationship, but really it's hate-hate relationship. I've never really liked trams. I know people in my family that do like trams, and we've had discussions about it where, you know, they've tried to bring me over to the dark side, and I flat out refused. Give me a train any day. Railways is what it's at. Trams are not railways. Simple as. So, with that being said, I kind of want to open it to the floor a little bit. So, you know, we all have our favourites. Everyone has their favourites. Some people might agree with me. Some people might not agree with me. That's absolutely love about conversations like this, is everyone has their own opinions. There's no right or wrong answer. So comment below. Do you like trams? If so, why? If you don't like trams, again, why? Do you agree with me? Do you think there's a different reason as to why you don't like them? If you do like them, you know, no one's going to chastise you for it. I'm certainly not. Hopefully no one else does. But yeah, comment below. share your opinions. While you're there, why don't you also share some ideas for future episodes as well, because that would be a big help. I have got some ideas, as I said a couple of episodes ago, but it's always nice to have a list that I can add to the episode plans. It makes my job a lot easier, that's for sure. So I've rabbited on for quite some time now. Hopefully the music is long enough to cover this whole episode. Like last episode, this is a real-time episode, so we are watching the vehicle, no time-lapse or anything like that, we are watching it as it actually goes. Now again, on my preview window, it keeps stopping and starting like a stutter kind of thing, so I hope it doesn't do this in the actual video, because that would be very fitting. I think that, I mean, the problem with this game is it's a 32-bit game operating in a 64-bit universe, essentially. And that's why the game crashes a lot as well, because it operates on a 32-bit system where the maximum RAM usage I think is 3 gigabytes for 32-bit games, whereas the actual RAM requirements that it needs for certain parts exceeds that amount, and that's when it just crashes to desktop with no error report, because it's a memory dump essentially. That's my understanding of it. Again, believe it or not, I've built my own computer and I've done lots of work with computers over the years. I actually started using a computer just after I turned 1 year old. That's how long I've been using PCs for. So, you know, I grew up in the days of floppy disks. I remember floppy disks very well. I also remember the awful noise that modems used to make as they connected to the internet. And I also remember being on the internet and someone answered the phone and I lost connection. So, like I said at the start, I feel very old right now. Where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? I was moaning about something. Oh, yeah, that was it. So I've used computers for pretty much all of my life, and I built my own computer that you're currently watching videos that have been made on. That was a really weird way to phrase that sentence. The desktop that made these videos that you are watching is the one that I built myself, and I've also regularly maintained it over the 4 years since I built it. However, I know next to nothing about computers. If you go into the description of all my videos, you will see my specs. I copy and paste those specs from Amazon because I couldn't remember what specs I had. Someone asks me quite regularly, you know, what video card or what graphics card do you use, and even now I do not know. It's in the description of every single one of my videos for the last 2.5 years, and I cannot tell you what graphics card I use. You know, I could pop open my desktop, take out the graphics card, dust it down, put it back in, and I still wouldn't be able to tell you what it is. All I know is it makes things appear on my monitors, and does a pretty damn good job of it too. Same with my processor, same with my RAM. I know that I've got, in fact, even now, I was about to say I know I've got 16 gigs of RAM, but I don't think I do. I can't remember if I have 8 or 16. I think I have 8, and then I doubled it. I know I doubled it from what it used to be, so I think it was 8 to 16. Can't remember. Anyway, ask me about trains, ask me about aircraft, ask me about cars, even. I can tell you quite a bit about them. Ask me about computers, no idea. I've always been mechanically minded, not electrically minded, which is why I did a mechanical engineer degree, which I never... But I did get a This is the stupid thing. I never managed to graduate in the mechanical side of things, but I went and did a digital media degree and graduated first time. Life, it does funny things. Anyway, I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to let the music take over, and hopefully you get to enjoy a nice tram ride through the city. It does end a bit abruptly at New Tram Square, because I had to go and reset some lines. Because the tram did get stuck in traffic. It's another weird bug that the game has where vehicles just randomly stop in the middle of the road. Apparently it's because there's invisible vehicles in front of it that you can't actually see or select or anything like that. It ain't half annoying, that's for sure. So apologies for the abrupt ending of the video, but we do get to New Tram Square and that's the main thing. So, thank you very much for watching. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. It really does help out when people hit the like button. You know, as well as commenting down below that you enjoy the video, just hitting the like button is all it takes. You know, I see some of my videos, they get 20 something views and only 1 thumbs up, and I think, really? Could you not spare 30 seconds just to click the thumbs up? Or do you not want people to know that you watch my videos? Because then that's a whole different problem. So yeah, do hit the thumbs up button if you liked it. If you didn't like it, the thumbs down is right there as well, but do let me know in the comments so I can improve for future episodes. Comment down below with ideas for future episodes. Always means a lot as well when people take the time to engage. Head over to the name suggestions list and add your own. I know there's more than 3 people that watch this series, so hopefully we get more than 3 people adding suggestions over the next couple of weeks. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support, but also hit the bell notification and head over to m4jmedia.com, as well as go into the interactions page. You can also subscribe to the YouTube calendar so you never miss an upload. Besides that, thank you very much for watching once again. Enjoy the music, enjoy the tram ride, and until next time, I will see you.